Batteries fully charged. Launch ready for AEW Spark in 3, 2, 1. All Elite Wrestling discussion is live. Cue host Noah Foster.
Alright, let's try this again, shall we? I didn't even put my hat on, but long and short of it, if you guys saw the video, or the videos that were out a couple days before, you will know that my Xfinity decided to be an absolute fucking butt munch and shut down in midstream. So this is what's going to happen. More than likely, if this happens again, which I'm expecting it fucking will, because I can't trust fucking Xfinity in the spring or the summertime for the life of me. I swear the heat just fucks up the goddamn Wi-Fi connection for whatever reason. I know that sounds like a complete crazy thing, and I'm probably sounding ignorant, and maybe there's other reasons why that happens, but it happens every spring and summer. It fucking happens every time. I swear something about the heat and the change in temperature fucks the goddamn connection up. I'm not going to be convinced otherwise. So, I'm convinced it's going to happen again. So, just in case it does happen again, I have this recorded. Alright? I'm recording this as I'm streaming this. So, if this stops in midstream again, I'm not really going to be that bent out of shape about it. You'll just see the VOD deleted, and then I'll post the full unedited fucking thing right afterwards, and we'll do it the old school way we used to do it. Alright? If, basically anything else happens, and I want to make sure, because this has been plaguing me, and I want to make sure I'm streaming to the right video and not on week 14, because sometimes I do it like a moron. I think I'm on the right one, the one that says 413. Yeah, okay, so I am doing that right. Cool. But yeah, long and short of it, I'm making sure that I have this recorded and I have this streaming properly. So if it streams well, great, I can delete the VOD and then I don't have to keep it on my system. If it stops, I'll just delete the video on YouTube and then I can upload the record version on YouTube. That's basically how we're going to play this. Now, I'm going to start this again. For those who are wondering why this is so fucking late in the game, our schedules were fucked to the point where Noah can't even be on this week yet again. Originally, we were going to have Noah host this by himself because I originally couldn't be on it. Long and short of it is, even though he could have fucking done it, his schedule was never going to allow him to. And if the reality is, if he were to do it, he would have had no days off. And this guy works a 5-day schedule every single week while doing these prediction panels, while doing all this other shit that, quite frankly, in his line of stuff, always is going to take precedent. You know, his whole thing is priorities before passions. He had a lot of priorities to deal with, including some family stuff he had to tend to. So it just couldn't happen. On my side, everybody knows I had a funeral to go to, and that was taking precedent over a lot of shit. And in general, I just couldn't really do much as far as getting it out on time the way I wanted it to, because I couldn't watch the shows for the week of Mania when it came to AEW. The only shows I was able to watch was Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor and AEW Dynamite. I literally couldn't watch, and All Access, I guess, too. All Access, the debut, and whatever. But I couldn't watch any of the other shit. I couldn't watch Dark Elevation, or Rampage, and that's what was pissing me off. I just could not find the time to do it, because WrestleMania week was that fucking hectic, And afterwards, trying to get everything else done was even more so because of my funeral and everything else. And it fucked my sleep pattern up. It fucked Noah's schedule up. There was no way this was going to happen any other way than me doing this by myself. Now, you're probably asking yourself why we're not doing a supercharged version of this like we used to do back in the day. Simple reason for that is that was the original plan too, but that fell through because look at the amount of shows we have to do for WrestleMania week alone. You know, and I added episode 2 of AEW All Access because I already told Noah we're not going to be reviewing AEW All Access, and I'll get to why in a minute. By the way, I'll be going on a rant about that myself. But long and short of it is like, you know, all this content, and we have to do that in a supercharged form. We're going easily for 4.5, max 5 hours if we're lucky. No way that was going to work with his and I's schedule because we usually try to do this late at night and shows kept getting in the way of this show. That wasn't going to happen. So, fuck that. I finally had a day where I could do this show, get it out of the way, so that way we could do week 14 on Friday, which was originally supposed to be fucking Tuesday, by the way. And then everything fucking blew up in our face, so that couldn't happen either. So, this week, Friday. We're finally going to be fucking back to normal on Tuesday. Finally, we're going to be back to normal scheduling. This is why I don't schedule any of my shit. I don't know how Jeff Meacham does it, but this is why I don't do it, because shit always gets in the fucking way. This is why I always just find time to do it and then announce it later when I do have the time. So that's essentially what's happening. That is why it is taking so fucking long to get these 2 shows done. They're getting done this week, and then we're going to be back to normal next week. We'll be covering this current week of everything that's going on in AEW. Next week on Tuesday, everything will be sorted. We'll be back to normal schedule as we have been for like the longest time. So, my apologies for the delay. It's just shit happens, and there's no way it was going to happen any other way. So, I hope that at least explains it for a lot of people. Please do not ask if you're in the live chat, if you happen to be in the live chat, if this VOD even fucking stays up long enough before it boots up, because Wi-Fi sucks again. Please avoid asking for any coverage of any of the stuff from this week or the week prior. The week prior, we are doing tomorrow. And this current week, we are doing on Tuesday. So keep that in mind. We are doing strictly Mania week for AEW content. Okay, so AEW Dark Elevation from that week, AEW Dark from that week, AEW Dynamite, Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor, which we are going to be covering in depth here today. Both episodes of AEW All Access, episode 2 being the only exception. And AEW Rampage. Okay, so we're covering all that shit. We are not covering any of the stuff the last 2 weeks after that. Strictly Mania week for this one. On Friday, we will be covering the stuff from last week. And then on Tuesday, we will be covering the stuff from this week. So please bear that in mind and be respectful of that, please. That being said, let's fucking do this and hope to God the stream stays up. If it doesn't, I am recording it and you'll see it at a later date. So either way, you'll at least see it. And you'll probably see me rant about the Wi-Fi regardless, just for content, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, let's get right into it. Episode 108 of AEW Dark. This is done by Paul White and Matt Menard. Calling the action, so let's get right into the action. Tony Nese and Arya Daivari, the varsity athletes, with Smart Mark Sterling versus Lane Summers and Campbell Myers. It's interesting that in this match, well, before the match, really, they didn't do the intro that they were doing for the varsity athletes that they've been doing for the last several weeks, where, you know, they do the cool introduction, they have the cool little epic music as Mark does the introductions. They went with the varsity athletes theme, the rock tune that sounds like it belongs on Power Rangers. you know, because it was done by Mikey Ruckus. I don't know, like, they just kind of went with this. So that was interesting, but yeah. Here we go. Nisa Davari, you know, they're acting all cocky and shit. Summers and Myers were waiting to make their debut in AEW. Menard marked Myers for having a bandage under one eye like Nelly. Nice stopped during the match to show off his biceps. He did a drop down and kip up to avoid a clothesline and swept the legs. Threw Myers into the heel corner and tagged Davari in for a 2-on-1 beatdown. Davari then fed him to the opposite corner for chops and clubbing blows. Shot him into the ropes for a knee to the body. Hit a dropkick and covered for a 2. Nice back in for a tag. Menard kind of playing with him with those jabs. And then he showed off his abs. Davari came back in, tried and failed the double suplex, and Myers stumbled across to make the blind tag for Summers. Summers may be the palest, pinkest person I've ever seen in a long time, says this guy. I still don't know why he said that. He seems to have a problem with pale people. He took an assisted cutter. His teammate got kicked out and ate a suicide dive. And Davari hit Summers with a splash to get the pin. Sterling rushed to the ring to raise their arms in victory. Wright says, best part about it, Sterling never said a word. So that was really it for that. Before I get to the next match, decent little squash match, I guess. It was what it was. Wasn't really feeling it, I'll be real. But yeah, that was basically it. Nothing to really write home about. It was just your stereotypical squash match here. We got Zero in the chat. Zero says, what's up? Just here to send you hugs after the connection issue on your end that delayed the show. Yeah, dude, I was so pissed. You have no idea. I'm like, it was honestly a blessing in disguise, because honestly, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have made the meeting I had to make with Jeff, because I so misunderstood, because so much shit happened during the last 2 weeks that I just didn't understand it. So in reality, it was a blessing in disguise, because I was actually able to make the meeting on time properly. But it still didn't piss me off any less, put it that way. To the point where I just took the day to myself to do something to not be pissed off, which is why I was doing a bunch of channel banners instead. So there you go. But yeah, there you go. That's all I really wanted to comment on. So we'll get to the next match here. Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir versus Byrer. I always fuck this up. I'm just going to call them the Hale Sisters. Rose and Shafir brought a tag... I'm not going to read the tag team records. If AEW doesn't care, neither do I. Renan and Wright took note of Shafir taking off her shoes and socks, and then discussed which of the Von Erichs wrestled with no boots on. Menard said it was Carrie. It was Kevin. Breyer, I think is how you pronounce it, was almost as pale and redhead as the aforementioned Summers. He really doesn't like pale people. What's wrong with that? I don't get it. Let him be. Sage tagged in after her sister got a beat down and promptly dragged to the corner for Nyla Rose to tag in and chop the snot out of her. Shafir tagged back in, double leg, did a gator roll, took a front face lock, then threw her in the air, before Breyer made a made the save on a pin. Rose tagged in again. Sage was left hanging on the ropes to do a leg drop, a second save. The sisters gave Rose a double clothesline to the floor, but Shafir was the legal woman and now locked in her greedy submission for the tap. Menard. She looks like she just snatched a body part. Just for good measure, Breyer took the elevated double team DDT afterwards. I will make note. There was no Vicky Guerrero. I'm going to make this announcement right now. No way in goddamn hell are we covering that situation on this podcast or any other podcast. Maybe ATW View. I can't say any other podcast because that's not my show really. But it ain't being covered here. It ain't happening. No way. That's just not happening. Do not even fucking ask. I am not touching that with a 10-foot pole. All I will say is, whatever is going to happen with that happens. It's a fucked up situation either way. So, that's all I'm going to say, and I'm just not going to touch on it any further than that. But yeah. Again, it was just your typical squash match. That was just the theme of the show, really. It was such an unimaginative fucking show this week. I'll get to that in a minute, but there is going to be compliments of Marina Shafir, believe it or not. We'll get to that in a minute when I get there, but I digress. Willow Nightingale versus Maggie Lee. Nightingale absolutely just walloped this bitch. Maggie Lee stood no chance. White says, I have a lot of respect for her. She's one of the few women that could step up against the antics of the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, Athena. We got yet another redhead in Lee, who was making her All Elite Wrestling debut in this match. Okay, yeah. Okay, what's the issue with redheads, man? Maybe it was a redhead week. Who knows? Maybe Tony Khan was like, hey, let's have a theme of redhead jobbers. I don't know. What happened? What's your problem with redheads? I don't get it. Nightingale asked for a test of strength by Lee, and Lee raised her hand way up high so she couldn't reach up because she had a long reach, you see. Lee tried hitting her with back elbows on a waistlock, and in response, Nightingale gave her the bounce. Period. I guess we both had the same idea there. And a cannonball in the corner. Powerbomb folded, a doctor bomb, folded tall Lee like an origami for the pin. Real quick, before I actually get into my thoughts on this match, my sources, always cite your sources. I actually forgot to do that this time around. Oh well. I did it right away before I got into anything. So, cage side seats for Dark Elevation. 4-1 Mania for AEW Dark. AEW by themselves for AEW Dynamite. Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor is done by Smart Out Moment. AEW All Access Episode 1 and 2 are done by Awful Announcing. And Last Word on Reports, or Last Word on Sports.com, respectively. And WrestleZone covered AEW Rampage. So there you go. Anyway. Decent little match here. It wasn't like, I don't know. Like, it was a decent squash, really. It was, Willow looked good, but we know she's good. So why are we doing this? I don't know. But anyway, Big Bill and Lee Moriarty versus the Reality, Zach Clayton and Ania. So, here we go. I'm going to have a rant on here for a second, but just give me a second while we get into this. Clayton and his tag team partner, Ania, had no prior record together, which doesn't surprise since both Menard and White pointed out Clayton doesn't play well with others. So there you go. I don't know. So it was some gimmick there when it comes to Clayton. Moriarty and Clayton started the match off for their teams. Clayton gave him a hard clothesline in the corner, mockingly held the hand to his ear for boos from Kansas City, caught Moriarty on a crossbody, but got reversed momentarily on the arm drag. He clubbed Moriarty in the face with a lariat and tagged out to Ania. White said he was a world champion air guitar player, as Moriarty kicked Clayton off the apron and nailed Ania with knee strikes. That's how you know the match is so riveting when Paul White's talking about he used to be a world champion air guitar player. The crowd chanted, "We want Big Bill," as Ania went for a roll-up that didn't work. Bill finally tagged in and knocked Clayton off the ropes, soaked up the crowd. Menard, I don't think he's used to the cheers, and threw Ania into the corner. He took Ania down with a big boot as Moriarty hit a tag when he hit the ropes, and then Big Bill lent Moriarty an assist, picking Ania up and slamming him down for a pin. Moriarty started playing air guitar, and Bill started dancing around. Bill raised a fist and the crowd cheered. If AEW is not careful, this firm's tag team could actually turn babyface. Okay. Here's my rant. Big Bill was at least over. Again, another jobber match, but that's not where the crux of the issue is. The firm needs to die. Kill it, and kill it with fire. At this fucking point, that gimmick is so... That honestly might be worse than what the Hardy Family Office was. I'm not even fucking kidding. I'd actually take the Hardy Family Office over this bullshit. I have been patient with it long enough. My patience has grown thin now. Look, at this point, the firm ended when Hook beat Stokely Hathaway and Matt Hardy turned on when Matt Hardy turned on Ethan Page. So, as far as I'm concerned, the firm should disband right then and there. I understand what people are saying, that Lee Moriarty should be a part of this little team with Big Bill, and that should maybe stay. I don't know, maybe. But okay, like, out of all the people that were ever in the firm, the only successful motherfuckers in this entire group were the Guns. Ethan Page looked like a fucking ham sandwich getting punked out by both MJF and Matt Hardy now. Fucking Big Bill and Lee Moriarty are basically doing fucking jobber matches on Dark. And... what, that's your faction? Ethan Page, Lee Moriarty, and Big Bill? The firm's a trio now. There's no point in keeping them around. If you want a trio, and you want to have Lee Moriarty stay with Big Bill, although I think he'd just be better suited than the Blackpool Combat Club, but if you're going to stick him with Big Bill, can we at least get fucking Enzo involved? I know what people are going to fucking say, but it's the same thing I'm going to say about the All Access shit. I understand he has his fucking demons or whatever demons that he has, right? He has his character personality shit that rubs people the fucking wrong way because he in real life is he in the fucking ring. The bottom line is, you put those fucking two together, Big Bill and Enzo Amore, they fucking sell. They will always sell. They're always going to be a fucking overact. Period. Never should have broke them up when they were in the WWE in the fucking first place. Period. You know, like, look, say what you will about Enzo Amore. I don't know if anybody's checked out any of his MLW work. I know there's issues between those two sides now, which, by the way, I actually blame on MLW because Court Bauer's a carny piece of shit. I actually don't blame Enzo here. But Enzo is really fucking good. He's really very much improved as a wrestler. And I don't think people give him enough credit for that. This guy could have seriously just coaxed on just being a, music rapper or whatever the fuck, which were terrible, by the way, I'll be real. He could have done that because it got him enough money, and he could have just lived the rest of his life not doing anything and just getting over with his mic ability. This guy actually fucking tried and did get better in the fucking ring. So, that alone should allow him some reprieve and should be brought back to come into a major company again. Now, he was originally supposed to be a part of the Ring of Honor roster, and everybody fucking laughed. But now I actually could see that happening. I'm not even saying that to be crazy. The guy can go. He could go with the fucking best of MLW had to offer. So, MLW is basically just ROH diet. So the guy can go. You could put him in there and it wouldn't be a fucking out there thought anymore. And teaming him up with Big Bill is the best thing to sell tickets. Especially nowadays. You go to Queens, New York for Grand Slam. You go to fucking Long Island in the UABS Arena yet again. People are going to file in to see Enzo Amore and Big Cass. They're going to see Big Bill and Enzo. That's what they want to see. You want to add Lee Moriarty and you want to make that a trio? Feel free. It probably could get him over. Because the guy does have talent. He's a great fucking wrestler. He might actually gel well with these two. Either way, bring Enzo into this fucking act. And please get rid of the fucking Firm. The Firm needs to die. The Firm is one of the worst factions AEW has ever come up with. The only one topping this probably being the Nightmare Collective. Period, end of story. This shit sucks. Like, the whole run of the Firm has been an absolute disaster. Like, that's really it. Like, they all need to move on. It's not, they can be rehabilitated. People will forgive. I mean, for fuck's sake, QT looks better than he's ever fucking looked. QT Marshall, who they buried 6 feet under for the longest time, looks better than he ever fucking looked. So, if they can rehabilitate him, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility they could do it with, like, fucking Ethan Page and everybody in the Firm. But they need to start doing it now. The Firm should not last any more longer than, like, 2 fucking weeks. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, because I don't know how you continue after this point. I just don't see how it worked. Anyway, with that being said, let's move on to the next match. Oh my fucking god. Talk about unimaginative. You want to talk about squash matches. This squash match I'm tired of seeing every week. A proving ground match. Proving ground. Athena versus Tootie Lynn. As usual, this guy says, proving ground gimmick is that if you could pick up a win over the champion, you earn a future title shot down the road. Whatever the fuck that means. So, here's the thing. When are we going to have Athena lose? Because it's fine if you're trying to, beef up her win record or whatever as the champion. And have her get these jobber matches on AEW Dark and do the fucking, current WWE Hall of Famer, Andy Kaufman gimmick, where they're just biting, jobbers essentially, even though it's not necessarily members in the audience, they might as well be, type of deal. And, she's fighting them and knocking the fucking daylights out of them, whatever, cool. My question is, what are we doing after that? Are we going to have her lose eventually, and then we're going to set up for a title program down the line on a Ring of Honor television program, and we're going to use Dark Elevation to facilitate that? What the fuck are we doing here? Because I think it's ridiculous that, we're doing these proving ground matches and nothing has come of them. It's just been the same thing week after week. And again, normally, if this week wasn't so formulaic, I would be like, okay, yeah, cool. Because there have been Dark Elevation matches that have been bangers. We've covered them on the show. This was not one of those fucking weeks. It was all jobber matches, all unimaginative, all sucked. I'll be real with you. It was a fucking nothing show, this show. They really could have used something to make it at least somewhat tolerable this week. I think here, picking a different opponent, because I don't think necessarily Tootie Lynn, whatever her name is, should have gotten the win here. But somebody that could have been in a Ring of Honor title program should have been the person that was considered and beat Athena here to really add intrigue for Ring of Honor TV, or, hell, put it on Dynamite, whatever you want to do. Battle of the Belts, whatever they wanted to do. It would have added intrigue instead of just doing the same fucking thing over and over again, for not just what they've been doing for this angle with Athena, but just this entire show. It really could have used some fucking spice. It was so mild this week, I ain't even gonna hold you. So anyway, let's break down this fucking match, whatever match it was. Lynn immediately hits Athena with a dropkick and went for a DDT. Athena blocked it and gave Lynn a scoop slam. Then decked her with a huge forearm and struck a victory pose, yelling, "Yay!" She does a little skippity-doo-dah, whatever she's doing. She too was getting a babyface reaction from the Kansas City crowd. Lynn acted like she was out cold. Athena poked her with a boot to see if she was conscious, basically, and then flipped her over for the pin. And that was it. Scoop slam ended it. She concussed the motherfucker. I don't know. That was the angle, I guess. She continued to lay there like she was dead. Menard says, how about that? The power of Athena. The power of Athena is right. After the bell, she acted like she was going to help Lynn back to her feet, even held the ropes for her, and then powerbombed her on the apron. The crowd cheered this too. She stretched Lynn around the ring post until suddenly Emi Sakura hit the ring, took Athena's belt. Sakura handed it back and seemingly like they were going to be cool with each other, but then grabbed a handful of Athena's hair and gave her a DDT. Then struck her with the I Am Your Highness pose over Mike Posey's knee, and Athena's back, on Athena's back, as Paul White made a quip about Karma sometimes being a bitch, even though he didn't say that on the air. So, I like this post-match angle. I will say that. The post-match angle was cool. I don't know, though, because, again, did you really need a fucking squash match to do that? Even if Athena wasn't going to lose, right? Can we have a competitive match with a fucking indie wrestler for Athena? A really good competitor from the indie scene to fucking go up against Athena? I think that could have worked, especially if afterwards, she knocks her out like she does here, and then, here comes Emi Sakura acting like she's going to be her friend, and then she does that to her. Yeah. That would have had a lot more impact. Instead, it was just, but at least the segment was alright. At least it's going to lead to something. And you know what? I can't be mad at an Emi Sakura versus Athena match for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. Yes, please. That match, yes. That's a great match to have on TV. Especially for Ring of Honor. Then we had Hardy Party. The last variation of this trio. Because they are done after this. Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, and Nathan Page versus Spanish Announce Project. Luther, Serpentico, and Angelico. So, yeah, I was sad because SIP lost. But, he's okay. It's further in the story, so I can't be too mad. I believe... Was this the main event? I feel like it was. Yeah, it was. Okay. So it was. So this is the main event of the show. So Ethan Page is very glum. He's a very sad boy, and he's very, very angry. He's fuming. He's not liking where the firm's going. He's very upsetty spaghetti. And then Hardy Party trying to cheer him up. Isaiah Cassidy and Matt Hardy trying to do their usual stick. He says, I'm not feeling it today. I'm in a foul mood. Hardy says, best friends don't let best friends be sad or stay sad. We're here to turn that fraud upside down. I got my main man and my main moon man. And we're here to party hardy. Why the fuck he called Isaiah Cassidy my main moon man? I have no idea. Maybe it's something else? And it's not, and my internet culture brain has no idea and ignorant to that fact. But if you know what the fuck Moon Man is, that was not what you call Black Man. I don't know what the fuck Matt was thinking there, but alright. Whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm just ignorant to it or whatever the fuck. What is a Moon Man? Zero. You're still in the chat, I hope. What the fuck's a Moon Man? Can you tell me? Because I'm thinking of that fucked up video on the internet that's been going around for ages. I don't even want to fucking repeat what the fuck was said on that shit. But anyway. Fucking hell. Cassidy says, if you're here to party hardy with Hardy Party, can I get a hiya? And then he did an orgasm noise right after. And then Ethan just didn't want to have any of it. And they did the little thingamajiggy, and Ethan Page was just Very depressing walk here. Aubrey Edwards was the referee, and here we go. The crowd was a very interesting crowd. They seemed to be cheering the heels on purpose. They just decided to be what Vince McMahon always called Bizarro World, whenever Canadian heels got a face reaction in their home country. This doesn't explain the face reaction for Paige, though, who did nothing to encourage it by sitting on the apron and acting like he didn't even want to be there. Hardy hit a side effect, and Paige reluctantly took a tag. Cassidy and Hardy encouraged him as the fans kept chanting for him, and he gave Serpentico a scoop slam before SAP broke up the fall. Cassidy jumped off Hardy's back to splash Serpentico. The rest of Hardy Party fed Serpentico to Page and hit the Twist of Fate with authority. Ethan Page, hit the Twist of Fate. Page then took Cassidy, who was seemingly surprised by it. He tagged in Cassidy. And Isaiah Cassidy did a Swanton Bomb for the pin. All three hugged afterwards. Before I just assumed Hardy was going to swerve Page by acting like they were friends. But now that they're actually having fun as a team, I really don't want Hardy to pull the trigger and become Broken Man again. Well, one of those two didn't happen. Unfortunately, the team's no more. I'm sorry, there was one more match, by the way. I know what the match was. I do forget, unfortunately. For some reason, I have -1 view. YouTube, what you doing? You on crack? Anyway. Anyway. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, it was, again, another squash match, and my boys' Bandits Announced Project got squashed. That was very sad. And, I mean, they at least furthered the story. I think this guy thought it was just weird that Ethan Page was getting cheered. The story they're telling is Ethan Page was a sad boy, and the fans didn't want him to be sad, and they tried to keep cheering him up, and it just wasn't happening. He was sad, he was glum, he was angry, he was upset. And then eventually they got through to him, and then they started cheering louder, and then he won, and it was cool. That was the story they told here. That was a little story they told. It was cool. It was good. Got Ethan over as a babyface. Got Ethan Page over as a babyface all for a week. So that was the story there. Anyway, as we were, Rio versus Diamante. This is the main event. Oh boy. I had a lot of expectations, and I wish I kept them low. I really don't know why I would expect, considering I had two world-class athletes, I thought the match could have ruled. It wasn't meant to be, so let's just get it over with. Let's get this review done, and then we're one show away from this review being done. So there you go. Menard reminded us multiple times that she was the number one contender to face the women's champion, Jamie Hayter, AEW women's champion, to be precise. Diamante had her way with Riho early, even flexing her physique, which, by the way, holy shit, she's ripped. I agree with Menard and White. Holy shit, I noticed it. And standing on Riho with one boot for a lackadaisical pin. White was sure to compliment Diamante on her physique, and that's not all I would compliment her on. She's a ring veteran. She has great charisma. And she even got a dueling chant in the crowd during this match. Rio finally knocked her into the ropes for her version of the 619. Somehow looks better than Ray's, which is what this guy says. You are chatting shit, but okay. And Diamante sold her nose. Diamante recovered enough to get a near fall and say some words we can't repeat, according to Menard, and then took Rio for a ride with two rolling German suplexes before getting the shoulders to the mat for a 2.9. Rio responded with a reverse cradle immediately afterwards for the sudden victory roll pin, and that's how Elevation ended. First off, number fucking one. Number fucking one. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Number one, you gotta sign Diamante. I don't know why she's not signed at all. Number two. This match really disappointed because this should have been a world-class women's match, considering the two workers involved, and they just rushed through. You could tell they were just trying to make it for Dynamite on time. I don't know why you put this match if that was going to be the case. Have one less match if that was the case. Did we need to see one of these squash matches? I don't think so. This sucked. I ain't gonna hold you. This sucked. This was not a great. It was starting to get good, and then it just fucking ended abruptly, and then I hated it because I wanted to see these two women tear it up, and I don't get to see Diamante often. The fact that she's still on a Tier 0 contract pisses me off. Can we get her in the Women of Honor Women's division at least? Can we get her for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship? I'd like that. I'd like that a lot. I think it's fucking dumb that this woman, of all people, got the short end of the fucking stick because Ivelisse decided to be an idiot, along with Thunder Rosa. They were both at fault in that situation. And then she's getting punished for it. I don't think that's fucking right. Sign this bitch, please. I don't know why she's not signed already. So anyway, this guy does a what to watch and skip. He says this week's what to watch and skip is brought to you by something. I'm not gonna. It's not brought to you by anything on this show. I would have recommended Rio's social media account, but she shut down her Twitter after being cyberbullied. Thankfully, the entire AEW locker room seems to have her back, and I hope all you do reading this as well. I'm one of those people. I approve of this. If you like women's matches, this was the show for you. Although what really made this must-see viewing was the enthusiasm of the Kansas City crowd. I mean, seriously, they were chanting for Ethan Page and Big Bill. It put a smile on my face just typing that. I love it when wrestling fans have fun in their own way. You could maybe skip Athena's match with Lynn since it wasn't really much of a match, but still like the post-show angle regardless. I would just skip this entire thing other than the post-show angle and I don't fucking know. Really the Big Bill stuff, specifically Big Bill and Lee Moriarty, and the Ethan Page Matt Hardy deal. If you want to know what the fuck happened before Matt turned on him, that's really all I'd say. Everything else was so skippable. This is a D show, like full on D show. Like it was nothing. It was an absolute nothing burger. So there you go. There. From there, we move on to AEW Dark for WrestleMania week on March 28th, 2023. And this was where I'm going to have the compliments when it comes to one Marina Shafir in a second. So, pardon me while I actually compliment her. This is probably where I'm going to do it. We are back for another episode of AEW Dark. We're back in the Dark Zone at Orlando this week, and we have 9 matches on the card. Anything under the double digits is a win in my eyes. Takeshita, Top Flight, Sky Blue, Evil Uno, and AR Fox are being promoted for the show via the title, and I am a fan of them and of them all in some capacity, and it should be a pretty solid show. Excuse me. Goddamn. Mushmouth here. Big Nicky boy, Nick Camarado, is here without the boys in the factory. I wonder if this is a permanent change. No shit. As a big fan of Big Nicky, I'm here for it. If you recall, Nick Camarado was in a bit of a banger with Lee Moriarty a few months back, so I'm expecting this to be a good one. Fox attempts a few arm drags and a backslide, but he's too weak, and Nick tosses him to the mat instead. Nick wastes some time taunting, allowing Fox to recover. Let me zoom in on this, because my fucking eyesight is god-awful here. Fox, Nick wastes some time taunting, allowing Fox to recover and nail Nick with an enziguri. He follows that up with some sweet springboard action into a Cazadora Bulldog combination. Fox with a back elbow in the corner and runs into Nick with a corner lariat, but he counters and slams Fox into the mat. Camarado with two more scoop slams. Yeah, there we go. And he starts jaw-jacking with Fox. They start shoving each other. Fox with a slap on Camarado. Tries a third body slam, but Fox slips free. Camarado with a short arm lariat and covers for a 2. Fox runs into the boss man slam from Camarado as he covers for another near fall. Nick with a waistlock, but Fox fights free. Camarado looks to suplex Fox to the outside, but he counters. Fox runs towards the other side of the ring, but Nick grabs his shoulders, slamming him onto the mat. Fox kips up and drops Camarado with a drop kick to the outside. Fox with a big dive on the Camarado on the outside, and then does it again, even cleaner the second time. Fox with a third flip onto Nick on the outside. Then Fox hits the Swanton and covers Camarado for a very close 2 count. Nick back in control as he drops Fox with a slam and covers for 2. Nick's eye starts to show signs of damage as Fox must have caught him with one. Camarado sits down on Fox for a pinfall and uses the ropes, so referee breaks it up. Fox with a series of kicks on Camarado into the cutter. He rolls into a pinfall attempt for a 2. Fox heads to the top rope where he wastes too much time. Finally, he sends Camarado off the top rope. He hits the Swanton, then gets back up top for a 450 splash for the win. This is a really, really good big man, little man's dynamic here. These two had really good chemistry. Very good showing by Camarado. Very good showing by AR Fox. I enjoyed this match. Really hot open compared to Dark Elevation, which was missing any hot matches, period. So it was very refreshing. So, thumbs up here. Then we get another match, which was also a banger, and I didn't expect it when it came to a TV match. Queen Amanita versus Sky Blue. This one starts off with lots of fast-paced action before these women are working for sure. Blue in control in the early going, dropping Amanita with a Rana and locks in a headlock, but Amanita counters and kips up as they go face-to-face, but Blue is back in control rather quickly. Blue attempts a kick, but Amanita counters into a roll-up for a 2. Amanita with a sweet German suplex, and then catches Sky Blue with a sick running kick into the ropes, sending Sky to the outside. Amanita follows Blue to the outside and hits a hard chop on Sky, and follows it up with a suplex on the outside. Blue onto the apron, and she hits a neckbreaker onto Amanita, onto the apron for a modified Sling Blade Bulldog-like maneuver, sending Amanita face first into the apron. Sky Blue goes up to the top and hits a crossbody on Amanita onto the outside, Dan right on the Queen's face. Sky heads up to the top for a second crossbody and covers Amanita for a 2 count. Amanita and Sky exchange forearms. Amanita with some tough shots, but Sky Blue returns with a series of her own and then heads to the ropes where Amanita just catches her with a sickly forearm. Sky with one of her own back in return. Sky hits the insecurity to Amanita. Amanita back to her feet, and she hits hits an air raid crash to Sky. Amanita is slow to her feet though. Then Sky hits the hip attack, then a running boot. Amanita covers on Sky and gets a very close 2 count. Sky gets back in control, and eventually she hits the modified flatliner, the spinning flatliner, to cover for the victory. This really surprised me. Queen Amanita really should be signed by AEW. I know they have a lot of women on the roster already, but I'm looking for women that you could put as talent on the Ring of Honor women's roster in particular. She's one of these women. Great gimmick, very nice presence, has charisma. You could tell she could talk on the mic. She was jaw-jacking, and she has that charisma about her. I know this is going to sound weird when I say this because it's accurate, but also, I don't know what you would think of me saying this, but very Prince Nana vibes. And if I'm signing her, I'm putting her right along with the Embassy, which they just merged with, I don't even know, what do you call it? Mogul Affiliates? I guess they're calling, whatever it is, whatever it's called. Either way, I do that. It's pretty good. It was a really good showing by Queen Amanita. Definitely go out of your way to watch some Queen Amanita matches. Her and Sky Blue tore it up here and got me interested in seeing more of her. So really good stuff by Queen. Hassan, welcome to the chat, brother. Hi there. Welcome to the show. It's me this week. Or at least it's me today. Noah and I will be back on the saddle tomorrow to cover the previous week. Not this week, but the previous week. And then on Tuesday, we're back on regular schedule. So, there you go. That said, let's get right into the rest of this shit here. Evil Uno versus Alexander Moss. Uno showed a more aggressive side early on, dropping Moss with a big boot. Moss hits Moss to his feet and then hits Uno with a few chops, but Uno lays into him with a series of his own and ends with a big right hand. Moss drops Uno in the middle rope, then running knees to the back and covers for one. Uno is mad and runs into Moss with a lariat in the corner and pulls him out for an immediate short arm shot as well. Uno lifts Moss up and drops him with a pile driver. Then he hits another one after the crowd start chanting one more time. He complies and rolls Moss over for the cover and victory. Again, this was a jobber match, although I will say, nice to see a little bit of a difference here as far as aggressive side of Uno. I feel like we don't get to see that often, especially when you consider the fact that Stu Grayson is on the shelf because of the Black Belt Combat Club, and you also think that Hangman and the Elite are also. He's been friends with these guys for a very long time, so I'm sure he's really pissed off. Really liking where this whole dynamic is going. Pretty cool, right? I have a rant that kind of relates to that. We'll get to that in a minute when we get to All Access. There's a reason, by the way. But with that said, still really cool, all things considered. Good little showing here by Evil Uno. It was at least, it was a squash match, but at least it furthered the story. How was your Easter Sunday? Said Hassan. It was good, brother. Finally was able to relax. Really, it was kind of somber for me because we spent Easter without my grandpa, but otherwise, good. It was a good show. It was a good Easter Sunday. We had a good time. But yeah, that was just me. Anyway, we got Steph Del Lander versus Marina Shafir. Here's where I'm actually going to compliment on Marina Shafir. Marina throws her dirty socks at the fans. Taz is a very big fan of this. Shafir quickly takes Steph into the mat and works over her with a gator roll. Steph to her feet and she drops Marina with a sick lariat and then sends her face first into the top turnbuckle and then follows up with a big boot. Steph covers for a two. She then lifts up Shafir and backs her into the corner with a series of strikes. Shafir sent into the opposite corner and Steph follows with a splash. Shafir then hits a hip toss and a kick to the gut. Shafir looking for a submission as she holds Steph down, but the referee forces a break. Shafir lays into Steph with some tough kicks and sweeps of the leg, then hits her with a stiff kick to the back. Shafir taunts Steph before hitting her with another kick, then soft kick with her bare foot, and Steph is annoyed. Steph up to her feet, and they exchange strikes. Steph attempts a kick, but Shafir catches her into a submission and forces the immediate submission. So, there is one game that I will give Marina Shafir credit for. The submissions are unique, and the submissions are very fucking good. I really enjoy Marina Shafir's submissions. Right? I will get to your question in a minute, Safan. I'm just in a train of thought here. So yeah, I could see why Moxley said she offers something unique, because she does in that aspect. The problem is, it's only unique if you can combo chain that into basic fundamental moves to make it make sense. I have not seen Marina Shafir do this once. She has no instincts when it comes to actual pro wrestling and being able to combo chain into submissions. I've seen Kyle O'Reilly do this to perfection. I've seen Ronda Rousey do this when she's led, admittedly, to perfection. Shayna Baszler, to perfection. I've seen Dean Malenko, one of the greatest of all time to ever do it, to perfection. Marina Shafir is like 2 left feet when it comes to being able to do that. She's great at the submission game. I'm not going to take that away from her. but she is not good at being able to make sense in the flow of the match. And it just makes the match awkward. She is hesitant on striking. She doesn't strike at all. When she does strike, it's sissy fucking punches because she's not trying to hurt her opponent. Because last time she did, she almost fucking injured Jade Cargill and put her on the shelf. And the one grapple that she has is a pump handle suplex that looks like it's going to actually injure anybody at any given moment. Dude, it's not that hard. Don't try to do complex moves. Your submission game is what draws you. Okay? Admitted. I will fully admit that. Pump handle slam. You don't need a pump handle suplex. Pump handle slam, get it into the greedy submission. That's a perfect way to transition into the greedy submission. I know this is sounding crazy coming from a fat guy who's never been in the ring before, but I'm talking as if I've seen the best of the best do it. Right? So take it for what it's worth, but do that. Transition with a pump handle slam. Regular pump handle slam. Road Dogg style. Without the hump. Please, God, without the hump. And then transition into a greedy submission. Her torture rack submission where she's doing this. She's twisting the body. Really good stuff, too. You know, joint manipulation's really cool. She's probably the best at that, I will admit. She needs to start transitioning that into proper transitions into those moves. Because it ain't fucking happening otherwise. She is going nuts when it comes to being able to put a match together. She can't fucking do it. Even when somebody leads her, she can't fucking do it. It's why Nyla Rose is so fucking frustrated anytime she teams up with this bitch. Because she's lacking in that quality. She just is. So anyway, it was a compliment, but it was also like, how are you so good at that, but you can't combo chain that, is basically the point. Like, she needs to get better at that. Hassan says, my birthday is coming up on AEW Dynamite on May 3rd. Happy birthday, brother. Enjoy the show. We will be definitely reviewing that for that week for sure. Hopefully, shit doesn't get in the way like it did for Mania Week. I doubt it will, because nothing will fucking beat Mania Week for how hectic that shit was. But anyway, this wasn't bad and actually was better than I expected. Steph is pretty solid. Oh, this is the guy's review. I don't need to review it. I kind of gave my review. By the way, this is much more of a jobber match. It really wasn't that great. It wasn't a match to write home about. But Zach Clayton versus Shaft. I was expecting a pretty decent match, but I'm going to just take you through the cliff notes here. Because it wasn't. It was a squash for Zach Clayton. Clayton attacks Shaft and early drops him with a quick elbow drop. Clayton taunts to the crowd before taunting and before continuing to work over Shaft. Shaft counters Clayton, then taunts to a lukewarm reaction. Shaft hits Clayton with a running senton in the corner. Shaft counters at one point. Clayton back in control as he nails Shaft with a shot to the back of the head, then falls up with a power slam. Clayton with a back elbow and then a lariat to Shaft. Clayton says this one is over and hits Shaft with a fisherman's buster and covers for the win. At one point, Zach Clayton did do a really cool elbow drop, but otherwise I didn't really take much away from this match. It was a squash. It sucked. It wasn't great. And it really didn't serve anything. It was really a waste of TV time, honestly. I guess you got to work in front of live television audiences to get better, so I guess it served that purpose, but to me, like, as a viewer, I watched this, and it was just nothing. It was a whole bunch of nothing. Like, at least with Evil Uno, it's furthering a story. Yes, I am covering ROH Supercard of Honor as well. Yes, I am covering that, Zero. But yeah, it was nothing. It was absolutely nothing burger, so I don't know why you had this match here. So, there you go. Top Flight versus Liam Gray? Oops. Mushmouth again. Liam Gray and Adrian Alanis. Final match for Top Flight here. Before the injury, unfortunately. Before disaster struck. Dante starts off with Alanis and works him over with quick action before tagging in Darius. They hit Alanis with some tag team action. Gray tries to break it up and is tossed out of the ring for his efforts. Top Flight calls calls for it and fakes a dive onto the outside, but their opponents move. Darius outside and lays into Adrian with a forearm, but Gray onto the outside, and he grabs Darius's boot. Dante with a kick to the face, and Gray sends him away. Alanis with a back elbow to Darius in the corner and a running crossbody. Gray covers for a 2, but Darius kicks out. Darius looks for the tag, but Gray hits it, grabs his hand just in time. Darius takes a forearm and bounces off the ropes, but Gray drops him immediately with a pump kick. Gray looks for a suplex, but Darius counters and hits him with a brain buster. Dante tags in and drops Gray with a drop kick. Alanis tags in, but Dante dodges a strike and nails him with a kick. Then a crossbody. Dante covers for 2, then tags Darius in. Darius with a roll through, but Alanis counters with a knee to the face. Gray tags in, and they look for a tag maneuver, but Darius counters and lays into them, but Gray counters, and they nail Darius with a suplex crossbody combo. Gray covers, but Dante breaks it up just in the nick of time. Dante sends Alanis outside. Darius, with an assisted tornado DDT. Dante drops Alanis outside and then heads to the corner. Dante with an assisted slam and covers Gray for the win. So yeah, I actually enjoyed this match only because I was surprised at how well the team of Liam Gray and Adrian Alanis worked together. I thought the two actually had a pretty decent little TV match here. And everybody looked good here, so fair fucks. Good on you. QT Marshall and Aaron Solo versus Austin Green and Very Morales. Okay, so the star of the show this week's Dark was definitely Austin Green, and I'll get to why in a minute. Holy shit. Solo and Very kicked this one off. Solo in control early. Very counters and drops QT off the apron with a dropkick. Very looks for another springboard dropkick, but Solo cuts him off midair. QT tags in and drops Very with a strike and back elbow before tagging Solo back in. Very with the tag to Austin Green, who uses his size to run through both Solo and QT. And boy, did he fucking ever. He was so goddamn good here. He was so good, man. Like, he was like, Austin Green legitimately was like, what's his name? Odinson levels of really fucking good. Green with a sick power slam onto Solo and then a huge one-arm powerbomb to QT. Very tags in and heads onto Green's shoulders, but Solo with a chop block to Green as they send Green to the outside. Solo with an assisted forearm to QT. QT then hits the dirt sheet driver. This was fucking awesome. Because if you've never seen this move, this might be the best move that QT's ever broken out. It's a suplex. It's like a stalling suplex, and then he transitions it into a snap powerbomb, Dr. Bomb style. Fucking nuts. Love that move. He might have one of the best power bombs in the fucking business. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, QT has a great fucking power bomb, man. A lot of people underestimate QT, man. I think this QTV stuff, man, like, it's really brought new life to the QT character. It's actually made him tolerable to watch on TV. And he's getting the right kind of heat now, where before I couldn't stand seeing him on TV, even though I can admit he was a good wrestler. But, like, his character is really fucking good now. And his wrestling ability can be even more appreciated. And he has an even better finisher to fucking boot, and it fits in with the QTV deal. Dirt sheet driver. Works out perfectly. But yeah, the star of the show this week was Austin Green, as far as AEW Dark is concerned. Also, one thing to note, he came out to his old Voodoo Johnson theme that he had in Ring of Honor. He came back out with that. For those who were wondering what that theme was, that's what that was. Tony Khan got the rights to the old Voodoo Johnson library recently, so there you go, for those who were wondering. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, that match. Next, we get this match, which, fuck me, it sucked. I hated this. Serpentico versus Brady Booker. again, hold on real quick, because I will say this is the best part of my fucking review, so here's the only time I would be positive. Spanish Announce Project. Alright, cool. So yeah, that happened. Brady Booker, he came in, and he was pumped up. Serpentico starts the match off at the top, but Brady taunts as well, showing how much more jacked he is. Brady in control and then hits Serpentico with a delayed suplex, with some running in place and a splash to Serpentico. Okay. For those who don't know, this is a drop-down drill in football. Basically, Brady Booker's whole deal is, I'm a football player. Can you tell I'm a football player? I do football player things. Yeah, I do this. I do that. I can do 3-point stance tackles. I'm just gonna fucking skip. I don't even want to break this down because it pissed me off so much. He got the fucking win with a torture rack. Fuck off. Give Serpentico a fucking win. Like, this guy is a fucking jabroni more so than Serpentico is. I don't know how the fuck this guy got the fucking win. I don't care if he's bigger. I don't give a shit. The guy sucked. His gimmick sucks, and he pisses me off, and he makes me mad. He beat my boy from the Spanish Announce Project, and I am not okay with this. Fuck that. It's bullshit. I don't know, man. Like, he's not doing it for me. I don't know why they see anything in this fucking guy. He really, and I mean really, needs to get the fuck out of AEW, because he's not what we should be looking for. He needs some time in the Indies. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Anyway, we move on to the main event, which was a great main event for this little TV show here. Konosuke Takeshita versus Cole Carter. AEW is always better with Takeshita and Cole Carter, and Cole Carter is pretty alright himself. He's saying AEW Dark is always better with Takeshita. And by the way, he's correct. You could also add Elevation to that list. Cole hits Lee Johnson. Cole has Lee Johnson with him tonight. Cole with a wrist lock, but Takeshita counters him with a headlock and follows up with a running shoulder tackle. Takeshita with a running forearm. He looks for a backdrop, but Cole counters and drops Takeshita, laying him with a series of kicks into the back. Cole sends Konosuke into the corner as he can. Konosuke hits the mat face first, selling his back, while Cole with a suplex covers but only gets a 1 count. Konosuke with a couple of strikes to Cole, but he runs into a drop kick. Cole immediately covers for the 1, then lays into Takeshita with a couple of strikes. Takeshita to his feet and flies back with a couple of chops to the chest of Carter. Cole then hits a ripcord knee to the face and a Falcon Arrow for the 2. Excalibur did not say anything about the deal. Takeshita and Cole exchange strikes. Cole and Konosuke over the top, and he skins the cat before hitting Cole with a Rana to the outside. Konosuke with a drive to Carter onto the outside. Cole sent back to the inside, where Konosuke hits him with a Blue Thunder Bomb, covering for it too. Carter looks for a power bomb, but he loses his grip as he lifts Takeshita back up and hits him with a power bomb into the corner, and then Takeshita for 2. Cole heads back up top, but Takeshita cuts him off. Takeshita with a suplex from the top and covers Cole. Cole rolls through for a 2 count of his own. Cole and Takeshita exchange forearms. Takeshita with a dragon suplex as he runs into a TKO from Cole. Cole heads up and attempts the 450, but Takeshita moves out of the way and hits a knee to the back of Cole Carter. Cole dodges the running knee, hits Takeshita with a sweet elbow strike. Takeshita with a running knee right to the back, and then hits the knee to the face to get the win. Right after this match, or right after that happens, you could see Lee Johnson jaw-jacking with a fan, and I think he was talking some mad shit to Lee. And then Lee's like, you don't think I won't go in there and fucking attack him, basically? Alright, motherfucker, watch me. Goes in and attacks Takeshita, leaving the fan absolutely gobsmacked, and stood over Konosuke's body, excuse me, which is going to lead to a Lee Johnson and Konosuke Takeshita match. I'm cool with it. Battle of the Blue Thunder Bombs. Let's go. Really good match here. I enjoyed it. Very good, all things considered, when it comes to Konosuke and Carter. We know the guys can work, and they put their working boots on, and all things considered, pretty decent match. Pretty decent AEW Dark this week. I give it a B-. Decent little show. The matches weren't like super great or anything, but definitely serviceable, cleansed your palate for what was about to come in this chaotic fucking week. So, I enjoyed this week's AEW Dark. So, there you go. So, let's get into AEW Dynamite. So, here we go. The results for March 29th of 2023. Tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite was broadcast live from the Lafayette Arena in St. Louis, Missouri. Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and Human Suplex Machine, more like the Human Podcast Machine, Taz, were the broadcast team for tonight. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. The firm's Matt Hardy with All Ego Ethan Page versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry. This is a very pivotal matchup in the career of Jack Perry, said Excalibur. Absolutely, he's going in there with a bona fide legend, replied Taz. Jack Perry reversed a wrist lock from Hardy, but Hardy came back with a shoulder tackle. Jungle Boy dropped Matt Hardy, taking Matt Hardy off his feet. Hardy rolled into the ring. Jack Perry went for a top rope suicida, a tope suicida rather, but Hardy countered with a side effect. Ethan Page whipped Jack Perry into the steel ring steps. Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin were seen watching separate monitors backstage, scouting Jungle Boy, because of course they were. Anyway, Ethan Page whipped Jack Perry into the steel ring steps. Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin were seen I did that again. God damn it. Sorry. Pardon me. Hardy and Perry traded strikes on the ring apron. It broke down into a hockey fight, but then Hardy scored with a side effect on the apron. They brawled to the back into the ring, but Jungle Boy Jungle Boy's lower back was clearly hurting. Ethan Page distracted by Jack Perry, and Hardy took advantage of the situation, suplexing Jungle Boy for a near fall. Ethan Page jumped on the ring apron, but this time the FTW champion Hook has seen enough and came down to the ring. Hook and Page began to brawl, both guys swinging for the fences as Hardy was distracted outside the ring. Jack Perry rocketed out of the ring with the tope suicida. Jungle Boy rocked Hardy with a flatliner and then an elbow to the back of the head to score the pinfall win. So yeah, that was pretty much it for that match. I enjoyed it. It was pretty decent. Very good opening match for this week's Dynamite. And it furthered two different stories. So thumbs up for that one. AEW World Champion MJF walked onto the ramp after the match. Cut my music, he says. I run the show around here, so shut your mouths. He's talking to the crowd. I'm going to keep it real with you, Jungle Boy. You said after our match at Double or Nothing 2020, you had the audacity to say I had it easy. That I waltzed up to the top of the card. You had the audacity to say that this is the MJF show. And you're right. My job's a joke, dude. I come in here, and I get to obliterate these losers. I get on my jet, I go back to Long Island. And then there's your career, Jack. It's been kind of mid. I give you credit because you worked and scratched your way up the card. Blood, sweat, and tears for these fans. But I don't ever recall these people saying thank you to you, Jack. And then they start saying thank you, Jack, or thank you, Jungle, or thank you, Perry, or whatever the fuck they're chanting. MJF says, too little, too late, St. Louis. You have every right to be pissed, but you have no right to be pissed at me for this company. You should be pissed at yourself. Yeah, he even said, or this company. He actually defended the company in that regard. You should be pissed at yourself. After our match at Double or Nothing 2020, I walked to the back, and for the first time in my career, I met a man inside that ring that I respected. So I swallowed my pride that night, and I shook your hand. Do you remember what I said to you that night, Jungle Boy? Jungle Boy then gets on the mic and he says, Let me see if I can remember the advice you gave me, MJ. I got from the great MJF. You said that nice guys always finish last, and if I ever wanted to be as big and successful as you, I'd have to ditch all my friends. MJF says, that's exactly what I said to you, and you continue to hang out with your friends, all the guys that held you back. And don't think your new pal Hook will be any better. You could have listened to me and we could have run this place. This could have been not just the MJF show, but the Jack Perry show. You had to be the good guy for these people. These people. Where was the good guy act gotten you, kid? Because 3 years later, I'm the man that is the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, and you're still just Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy then replies, a long time ago, I thought somehow, someway, you and I would be friends. I wish I could I wish I could talk like you. I wish I had the confidence that you have. I wish I didn't care about lying and stabbing people in the back to get what I want. But that ain't me. But if my road to the top of the mountain is harder because of it, then so be it. But when I become AEW World Champion, at least I won't wake up alone every day and hate the person I see in the mirror. And MJF says, that was really good. Congrats, but it only took you 4 years to learn how to talk. You're right. At one point, I thought we could become friends, partners, but not now, because you have turned out to be a massive disappointment. You're weak. Jack Perry heard enough and lunged at MJF. Jack stomped down, and MJF took down MJF again with a lariat. MJF retreated from the ring before Jack could put out his lights. This segment ruled, man. I mean, the leaps and bounds Jack Perry has shown on the microphone is so lost on people. I feel like they're just hating on him just for the sake of hating on him, but this is a really good segment. Now, don't get me wrong. MJF absolutely carried this thing, but man, Jack Perry at least looked like he held his own, man. I thought the segment ruled. Really good segment here. Very good way to build up to the eventual four-way they're going to be building for Double or Nothing between the pillars. I'm so looking forward to that. It's not even funny. Alex Marvez then interviewed Don Callis and Kenny Omega backstage. Callis says he apologized to Hangman for what happened last week. Footage was shown of Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Jake Hager taking the Acclaim for Daddy Ass for a night on the town. It was basically a pre-tape segment. But yeah, a lot of segments here, so bear with me. The Acclaim said they give their answer next week about whether or not they join the JAS. Then, we have a trios match. Dalton Castle and the Boys versus the Boys are Brandon and Brent, I guess. Versus the Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli, Jon Moxley, and Wheeler Yuta. However, before the match could even take place, the BCC ambushed Dalton Castle and the Boys as they were making their way in their entrance. It was a complete mauling. Claudio took care of business in the ring and pinned one of the Boys while Mox and Yuta annihilated Castle and one of the Boys outside of the ring. That was pretty much it. There was nothing to this segment, really. Alex Marvez then interviewed Hangman Page after we went to a commercial break for a little bit. Marvez asked Page, who attacked him last week, Marvez asked Page who attacked them last week, and Page seemed confident it was the Blackpool Combat Club. Don goes to interrupt and tries to apologize to Page for last week. Then the Blackpool Combat Club jump on the scene and attack Adam Page. They went after Don Callis and beat him down as well. So both Don Callis and Adam Page both laid out. So Kenny Omega has nobody in his corner. He's going in alone. IWGP United States Heavyweight Title match. Kenny Omega, the champion, versus Jeff Cobb. Before the match, Tony Schiavone informs Omega that Callis has been attacked by the Blackpool Combat Club. Omega was shocked, unaware of the development, but he tried to remain focused because he had a championship match to compete in. Real quick, I absolutely love that Kenny Omega came out to the One Winged Angel. I love the corporate synergy that they're having with New Japan in that regard of he's coming out to the New Japan music. He's coming out to their theme that they made for him while Jeff Cobb is coming out to his theme that New Japan has for him. I really like that little synergy there. Really love that. Cool shit. Omega took down Cobb with a Hurricane Rana. Omega jumped over the top rope with a Terminator dive on the Cobb. Back in the ring, Cobb spiked Omega with a running brainbuster. Omega was clutching his ribs, which were injured during the match last week. In his match with Vikingo, which fucking ruled. Cobb used his overwhelming core strength to pivot and suplex Omega. Cobb attempted another suplex, but Omega landed on his feet. Omega nailed Omega nailed Cobb with a knee strike for a 2 count. Cobb got to his feet with a drop-kicked Omega. Kenny Omega rocked Cobb with 2 Snapdragon suplexes. After a 3rd Snapdragon, Cobb swung for the fences with a lariat on Omega. Cobb headbutted Omega and wiped him out with a delayed vertical suplex from the top, off the ropes. Cobb smashed Kenny with a standing moonsault press for a near fall. Cobb cracked Kenny with a V-trigger of his own. Cobb was looking for the Tour of the Islands, but Omega countered with a V-trigger to the back of Cobb's head. Omega finished Cobb off with a one-wing angel and pinned him. Really awesome New Japan showcase here. Absolutely love this match. I love that it furthered the story of Kenny Omega's hurt ribs fighting Vikingo in the match he lost. And he tried to capitalize off of that loss and off of the BCC stuff. Really liked how they're blending in all that story and how they told the great story in the ring. Great match here, man. Really loved that. That was awesome. So definitely go out of your way to watch this match. I'd say probably the match of the week. And that goes without saying. As far as AEW content goes, if we're getting to Ring of Honor, then we know what fucking match it was. We know what match it was. We'll get to that. But after the match, the Blackpool Combat Club surrounded Omega, who was all alone in the ring. But then the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, came to the ring. Danielson ordered the BCC to stand down. Danielson offered a hand to Omega, helping him up. As Omega turned his back, Danielson nailed a running knee strike. The Blackpool Combat Club swarmed Omega in a 4-on-1 beatdown. No one could stand in their way. They're ruling AEW, says Tony Schiavone. Now, real quick, the way Danielson helped him up, and then when Omega turned his back, you could just see the little twinkle in his eye, like, haha, I gotcha, bitch. And he's like setting up for the running Psycho knee. Love that. Love that little touch. We got the American Dragon full on now. And it looks like they're going to kick off the storyline that they've been wanting to do for a while, which is the pro wrestling supposed to be fun crowd versus the pro wrestling supposed to be a serious sport crowd. I'm liking that. I'm liking how they started this. I thought it was really, really good. Again, I already like what they're doing with the women. I think that's going to be your blood and guts for the women if they do 2 of them. Here's your men's. This is easily your men's War Games. The Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club. This is easily it. I'm looking forward to it, man. This is going to be a fun one. And I swear to God, man, if they get Punk back in time, and he's in this match with the Blackpool Combat Club, if it's Punk and the BCC versus the Elite in full, holy fuck. Could you imagine? I'm still going to rant because I don't know if it actually would happen. But if they fucking got over their bullshit and got their head out of their ass, could you imagine that War Games scenario? I don't know how smart it is to have Punk come in after he just got out of injury in that match type, so maybe they don't want to necessarily do that match. But, oh man, like, that could be a fucking possibility if they go that route. I'm just saying. Anyway. Next thing here. We got AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Guns, backstage. They ran down FTR saying they don't respect FTR. Next week, it's going to be careers versus titles. We already know what happened there. We're going to be covering that tomorrow. We got the AEW International Championship match. Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy versus The Butcher with The Blade. Butcher and the Blade attacked Orange Cassidy before the match. The ref ejected Blade from ringside area. As the referee was doing this, Butcher continued to pummel Orange Cassidy. Butcher chopped away at Orange, but Cassidy countered with by bouncing Butcher's head off the turnbuckles. Butcher hoisted up Orange and then dropped him hard on the turnbuckles. They brawled outside the ring, with Butcher swinging Cassidy onto the steel guardrails. Back in the ring, Orange connected with a Stun Dog Millionaire and then a DDT for a near fall on Butcher. As the ref was distracted, the Blade ran down to the ring and cracked Orange in the back with a crowbar. The Best Friends came down to help their friend Orange. Trent hit Butcher in the back with a crowbar, just to get a little even there. After that, beach break by Orange Cassidy, and he pins the Butcher. Decent little TV match. Decent little setup for a possible 6-man tag team match with Butcher, Blade, and Kip Sabian versus the Base Friends. Cool stuff there. I will say, all in all, this run with Orange Cassidy has been underrated because he really can't show that he can wrestle, and he really does show he's not a one-trick pony here. I'm really enjoying what they're doing with him. In fact, they're finally starting to have him defended against international talent. That goes to show in the next few weeks here. And he actually went to New Japan in replacement for Eddie Kingston to fight Gabriel Kidd and the recent New Japan show. So for anybody that wants to check that out, AEW is going to have some representation for that. AEW All Atlantic Championship on the line, Orange Cassidy versus Gabriel Kidd. If you don't know who Gabriel Kidd is, if you're familiar with WCPW, he was the man that tagged with, I forget his name off the top of my head, but he was the first ever inaugural WCPW Tag Team Champion with his tag team partner. Really good shit. He's really improved as a wrestler ever since joining the LA Dojo, so that should be a banger of a match. With that said, we move on to the Outcasts. Ruby Soho with Saraya and Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale. Ruby slapped Willow in the face. Willow countered with no future and then dropped Ruby with a side slam. Willow is all business here tonight, said Excalibur of Willow Nightingale. Willow used her power advantage and body slammed Ruby Soho. Willow smashed Ruby in the corner with forearms. As the ref was distracted, Saraya battled Willow with 2 knee strikes. There we go. Sorry, have to fucking get some soda in me. Little bit of liquidation here. Ruby Soho used a snap suplex on Willow for the near fall. Willow hoisted up Ruby and dumped her with a Death Valley driver. After an assist from Toni Storm, Ruby rocked Willow with 2 no future kicks. Willow countered the Destination Unknown with the mighty bounce. Willow was looking for the Dr. Bomb, but Toni interfered unbeknownst to the ref. Ruby used the ropes illegally for leverage and pinned Willow Nightingale. After the match, the Outcasts were attempting to break Willow's leg, but out came Rio and Sky Blue in the ring to save. The Outcasts had Rio and Sky Blue outnumbered, though, until AEW Women's World Champion Jamie Hayter ran down and chased off the Outcasts. Afterwards, Jamie Hayter gave a little bit of respect to Riho because they will have championship match next week, you see. We will be covering that tomorrow. Adam Cole versus the Jericho Appreciation Societies. Daniel Garcia is the main event. Oh boy. Man. First thing I gotta say. Watching Cole versus Garcia was like watching a Kyle O'Reilly. A young Kyle O'Reilly taking on Adam Cole. Like, this match ruled. This match kicked ass. Cole took down Garcia with a side headlock, showing no signs of ring rust. Garcia fired back with a pile driver. Cole rolled out of the ring to the arena floor, selling his head because he had concussion, you see. Cole tried to build a comeback with a flurry of offense. Cole leveled the playing field quickly with a neckbreaker on Garcia. Daniel Garcia tossed Cole on his neck with a German suplex. Cole fired back with a thrust kick for a 2 count. Garcia ducked a knee strike and then countered with elbows that targeted Cole's neck. Cole went for the Panama Sunrise, but Garcia rolled through. Garcia stuffed Cole with the trapped arm pile driver. A killer instinct by Daniel Garcia, said Excalibur. Somehow Cole found the strength to hit the Panama Sunrise, and then he lowered the boom! With the running knee, Adam Cole pinned Daniel Garcia. He fought through the pain and came out stronger, said Excalibur. It was a battle brochure. Daniel Garcia put up a hell of a fight, said Taz. Dr. Britt Baker then walked down to the ring to help Adam Cole celebrate after his victory. Then Judas began to play, and Chris Jericho came to help Daniel Garcia, and to the back. Jericho wouldn't make eye contact with Adam Cole, so it's going to be Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho. More than likely a Double or Nothing. Very, very okay with this. But yeah, that was really cool. Really good episode of Dynamite. I'd say it was a B+. It wasn't quite an A, but it was a decent show. Very good TV show. They did a very good job. Furthered some stories, furthered some angles, had some really killer matches. The Adam Cole and Kenny Omega matches being the two that come to mind. Jeff Cobb brought it to Omega. Garcia brought it to Cole. And yeah, man, really good shit. All around, really good stuff. So, with that being said, let's get to the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. We are going to be covering that for this week. However, what I will say is, this is not going to be a weekly thing for on a Simple Man's brand going forward, which I will be creating an intro for sometime over the weekend, along with a bunch of other stuff for Owen the Talkinator as well. Stay tuned on that, Owen the Talkinator. And CM Brothers, now known as the new main hub for FTW Productions. Again, more on that later, basically. But, long and short of it, on a Simple Man's brand, Honor Hub is going to be a thing. Hosted by Noah Foster, he's going to be running down the happenings of Ring of Honor television on his Simple YouTube channel, adding number 4 to the shows on his list. So, Noah Foster has 4 original shows on his YouTube channel, so go show him support on that. You will catch anything Ring of Honor related on that show by Noah Foster going forward. So there you go. We will be covering the pay-per-views on AEW, not in a breakdown like this, like I'm going to be doing here, but we will be covering the pay-per-views because we cover them on the Jeff Me Too Network. We do live watch-along coverage, so we will be doing at least a little bit of breakdown of it and whatnot. I will say I'm probably not gonna go into a full-on breakdown deal here, but it was pretty cool. It was a really good show. So, first matchup here, I'm going to be going over all the matches from the 0 Hour because I did watch that as well. Jeff Cobb took on Hossot's Tracy Williams. What a fucking name. Really was surprised by this match and just how good Tracy Williams was when it came to Jeff Cobb. I was really, really surprised by how good they had, how much chemistry they had. Jeff Cobb obviously won that. Right after that match, Nigel fucking McGuinness is back, baby. Nigel McGuinness came out to be added to the commentary. I'm so fucking happy he's back. I'm so happy Nigel McGuinness is back. I hope he's going back as a competitor as well in the foreseeable future. I'm so looking forward to that. You have no idea. I'm like fucking pumped. I'm stoked. Then we had Konosuke Takeshita versus Willie Mack. I was really, really happy with this match. They fucking tore it up here. My boy Johnny got to see these motherfuckers live. Lucky bastard. Really good shit there. Go check that out, man. Really good matchup. Willow Nightingale versus Miranda Alize. Really surprised by how good this match was. Willow Nightingale obviously won that. Stu Grayson and Slim J had a really killer matchup. I was surprised at how good this match was. They just put it... I don't even know why. They had this match on here, and Slim J and Stu Grayson just tore it up to end the 0 Hour. I was very surprised. So, good on you. Really good shit. So, that was basically the 0 Hour. Then we get to the main card. Holy shit. I have to break some of the stuff down here. El Hijo del Vikingo versus Commander. Oh boy, what great lucha things here. What great lucha things. I can't even describe half the shit I saw on here. 6:30 happened. Springboard 6:30 that Vikingo does. That happened. That was great. Commander is the master of the tightrope walk and did a fucking top rope fucking walk into the Pillsbury flop. Holy shit. That was fucking crazy. Yeah. You gotta go out of your way to watch this, man. If you're a fan of Lucha Libre and you're a fan of how good it can be, this is the match for you, man. I'm telling you. And this guy says, very good match for what I was able to see. I'm sure I would have enjoyed it even more if I could have given it my full attention. He had, like, shit going on, I guess. Big fan of Commander's springboard after running off the top of the ropes. Agreed. Vikingo obviously retained here, but what a fucking showcase for AAA. That was really cool. I must note here, by the way, AAA was showcased here, along with CMLL and New Japan Pro Wrestling people here. This is very, very pivotal here, because this is the first pay-per-view that actually showed all three of those companies being in synergistic harmony in one show. That hasn't not happened in fucking years. So, that's something to pay attention to, if you haven't already. This is a weird match, but a great match. The Embassy versus AR Fox, Blake Christian, and Grand Metalik. And the Embassy actually retains. This is a very good match. You had a very good, like, David team in the High Flyers versus Goliath team in the Embassy. Obviously, Goliath wins here. A lot of people were like, oh, Brian Cage is leaving, so they're going to drop the belt to this team. I couldn't believe that fucking logic, because they literally makeshifted a team because they had a common enemy here. AR Fox, Blake Christian, and Grand Metalik, right? AR Fox and Blake Christian, that makes sense as a team because of their history in GCW. Fair enough. Grand Metalik, he's from CMLL, I believe he's in CMLL, or he may have been in... Was he in CMLL or is he in AAA? He's in one of the companies, but regardless, I digress. There was no way they were going to make a makeshift team win the tag titles. Obviously, the Embassy was going to retain here. I didn't think Brian Cage was going to go this soon anyway, especially with what we fucking know now in the WWE and the hiring freeze. So that was not going to happen. So there you go. But anyway, good match. I enjoyed it for what it was worth. Even though it was a makeshift team challenging for the titles, they actually did really well. So good on them. Anyway, we had the Women's Championship matchup, Athena versus Yuka Sakazaki. Very good. Very good matchup. It really showed the intensity. Yuka can fucking hit, man, for a little girl. I mean, that sounds really weird. Let me rephrase. She can hit for a girl her size, put it that way. Athena, though, obviously retained. They're going to be building up to whatever she's going to be doing eventually. So, really good stuff there. Samoa Joe versus Mark Briscoe for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. I'll be honest, dude. I think this is the wrong decision here. This is not the right decision. Mark Briscoe should have won here. Not Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe has done his time with the Ring of Honor Television Championship. And I know that I've been advocating that he should be the Undisputed King of Television again and whatever. I guess they don't have a choice to go to that now, but, like, the problem is now, when it comes to Forbidden Door time, you know, I don't know how I feel about it. Because I do want to see Samoa Joe versus Zack Sabre Jr. at Forbidden Door. That match is the money match for both TV titles. And if you want to add Wardlow into the mix, go for it. If he wins back the TNT title, whatever, right? But Mark Briscoe, I feel, maybe that's why they didn't want to do that, because that's their plan. I just feel like Mark Briscoe was the guy to get the belt on, because that was just the match to do it. You know, I don't know. It's just, it was what it was. Mark Briscoe lost here. I'm going to be real here. I'll be real. Because I understand they want the novelty of Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Daniel Garcia. We knew who was going to win this, and I wish they went against the grain here. Because they could have told an interesting story if Daniel Garcia pinned Hiroshi Tanahashi. They really could have. But they evidently just went the safe route and had Tanahashi beat Daniel. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think that Garcia should have gotten the W so that way you could build a little mini feud. If anything, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Jericho on AEW soil would be great, and that would have been a great way to do that by having Daniel win because Jericho helped him. But what do I fucking know? Who knows? Anyway, let's get to the reason why everybody was talking about the show. The Reach for the Sky ladder match for the vacant Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. The Lucha Brothers versus Top Flight versus The Kingdom versus Aussie Open, which is Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher, versus Los Faction Inogobonable. I'm going to... LFI. That's what I'm going to call them. LFI. Rush and Draglistigo. So yeah, let's just talk about this. What a fucking match. This is the match of the fucking week when it comes to anything AEW Ring of Honor deal at all. Like, the spots they did were fucking crazy. However, let's address the big-ass elephant in the room. Dante Martin breaking his leg off the Canadian Destroyer through 2 tables by Penta. For those who are giving Penta L0 shit, fuck off. Including all the old boomers that are fucking saying, you never should have done it because it was bound to happen. It'd go wrong eventually. What were you expecting to happen? If you weren't fucking a nearsighted absolute a-hole, like most of the fucking boomers are, you would have known that Penta has done that spot numerous times properly before, even on the outside, by the way. So, bite me. That has nothing to do with it. It was a fucking freak accident, and he over-rotated. It happens. Right? It was fucking unfortunate. Get well soon, Dante. I hope you get really, really quick recovery, but knowing how bad that ankle probably snapped, fuck. That was rough. Lucha Brothers won. Lucha Brothers are the new Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. Man, you got to talk about, like, as far as tag teams in wrestling, man, they may be the most decorated tag team. They might be up there as far as tag teams that have been very decorated. Like, up there with the Dudleys and the Road Warriors and people like that. Because, holy shit, the amount of gold that these fucking guys have won as a tag team is crazy. They have won the AAA tag team titles multiple times. The AEW tag team titles a couple times. They've won the Ring of Honor tag team titles now. They won the Impact titles multiple times. They won the AEW Trios titles with Pac. They won a lot of fucking gold, man. And I think it's just begun for these guys. Like, I don't even think it's done. Like, I understand they haven't been in WWE, man, but they have a long list of fucking titles that they've won, man. Like, the only, and like, they could probably, like, they have won a fucking shit ton of gold. That said, we move on to the Ring of Honor Pure Championship match. Wheeler Yuta versus Katsuyori Shibata. I gotta be honest. I don't know. Like, I was surprised at the outcome that they went with Shibata instead of Yuta retaining here. I don't understand why they did that. I really don't get it. Other than Tony Khan's a big mark for Shibata. I don't get it. I just found it weird. I found it really fucking weird that they went with Shibata instead. Because let's just call the elephant in the room. Dude will never be 100% ever again. Alright? Like, this needs to be talked about. Like, because nobody is fucking talking about this, okay? This shit needs to stop. Shibata should be on the shelf. Unless he actually can take shots to the head safely. I don't want him, like, taking a full-on flush shot to the head. Let me be clear. But unless he could wrestle at the style he was wrestling before that injury with Okada, this guy should not be fucking wrestling because it's a fucking embarrassment. This shit, he had to go like 50 miles an hour and not 100 in Wheeler Yuta's case. This was ridiculous. This has been fucking ridiculous since the motherfucker returned. I love Shibata. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a legend for the fact that he wanted to come back at any capacity. But the bottom line is, his fucking injury is like unlike any other fucking huge concussion that has ever happened. Like, why in the fuck are you having this guy still wrestle? I don't understand that. I don't get it. And then he wins a championship. The dude barely could take a fucking thing on the head. Is the idea that, okay, well, because pure title is based on pure rules, that way there's less of a chance that he'll fucking go for a brutal fucking maneuver? Like, I want to know, is Shibata going to have a match that can showcase that he is like Bryan Danielson, that he's like Saraya, where he can go and he won't have an issue with his brain? Same with Adam Cole and shit. Like, is he going to be able to do that? If the answer is no, you need to have him on the fucking shelf. I have no idea to this day why Katsuyori Shibata is still wrestling. I don't know. I don't even know why he came back if he wasn't even fully at 100%. Like, I don't get it. But anyway, we move on to the main event. Claudio Castagnoli versus Eddie Kingston. Eddie retains his title by Claudio retains his title by pinfall. Which is really weird how they did this, because it looked like Eddie Kingston kicked out before the hand hit 3, but they counted it anyway. Maybe that's what they're building to. But it was a decent little fight. I'll be real. I liked this match a lot. I thought Claudio and Kingston brought it, and it was a really good fucking match. And I liked the promo that Eddie Kingston had after the fact, after he gave Shibata some respect. So that's what that was about. I mean, cool little makeshift team here between Shibata and Kingston, because Kingston's marked for Japanese wrestling. Obviously, he would give respect for Shibata. So, but yeah, he obviously is really pissed off that he doesn't get enough time to talk on the microphone, and he said, I can't get more than fucking 2 minutes on the microphone, but MJF gets 20. So you could tell they're going to be building up to a future program between those two in the future. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, good shit there. Yeah, I don't know. I actually have to go with a B. There was several things that hit the mark off the show being an A- for me. Obviously, the injury is notwithstanding. That's just a freak accident that happened. But, like, some of the booking decisions, like Mark Briscoe not winning the television championship and Wheeler Yuta not retaining, and I think the formulaic Hiroshi Tanahashi wins LOL on Ring of Honor television thing is just fucking tiresome. I think they could have done something a little bit different in this version of Ring of Honor, and they kind of went the safe route with those matches. And the one time they did do a shocker was with Shibata, who I vehemently disagree with. He never should have won that title. So yeah, it was what it was. That was Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. And yeah, if you want to know what our full in-depth thoughts were, you can watch us call the action on the Jeff Meacham Network right here on the iCard once it's done being live for a few hours. Or I can put it in the live chat after the fact. In fact, you know what? Actually, while I'm doing that, I might as well just look it up here. You know what? Let's go Jeff Meacham Network. Hello? I'm still live. I'm live. My dad brought me tacos, everyone. Thank you.
No.
You can say hi to the people.
Hi to the people.
He said hi to the people. Real quick. So, Jeff Meacham Network. Let's get to... where is this card here? Hall of Fame and and Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. And we put it in the chat here once I find it real quick.
If
Hold on
you
one
feel
second.
like save one for the name of do it. If you're really hungry still at the end, to eat it.
Okay, cool.
Let me know, though.
I will. Probably gonna eat it because I'm starving. Real quick, let me just paste this and boom. Okay, so that's the only thing I'm gonna be promoting. As far as like right now, I'll be promoting stuff at some point. So don't get me wrong. I just have a method that I'm gonna be doing with that. But yeah, that's the end of that. Let's talk about All Access, because I have a lot to say about this. There was some good stuff about this. Obviously, the first episode really surrounded Adam Cole trying to get back into the ring and just couldn't for the longest time. So that was kind of the lead into the ending of Dynamite. That was pretty cool. Him and Kyle O'Reilly getting injured at the same time, and just them talking about how he was his road. Kyle O'Reilly was like his road wife and shit. How long they've been traveling together is fucking nuts when you really break down their Ring of Honor history, their NXT history, and their AEW history now. Really good shit, all things considered, man. Like, I gotta say, like, I enjoyed that little aspect of All Access. I enjoyed, like, other things that they were kind of doing, how they kind of introduced everybody. I did enjoy all of that. As far as that is concerned, I did like that they showed Britt Baker. Like, and you know what? I still think it's a bit. I still think it's a bit over the top. Britt's reaction to Thunder Rosa. I will always think that. However, I will go back on it being that because she was selfish. Obviously, she cares about the division. That's what it ultimately comes down to. I think that it gets misconstrued with that she's working stiff, and in reality, she really isn't working stiff. But I enjoyed that they kind of explained that in this, so I'm not nearly as sour on it. So it is what it is. Fair enough. Whatever. So yeah, Thunder Rosa hurt her back and whatever. And then I'm just really annoyed. This is what made me not want to cover this. Because if they're not going to cover it, I have no reason to cover this. And I already told Noah the same fucking thing. This is the reality of it. If they aren't going to be covering Punk, there is no point. Right? Like, that's why I'm going to talk about this. I will say, actually, before I even cover the Punk thing, and before I go on my rant, I got to say this as well. Because I said I was going to cover stuff on episode 2. Because we are not going to be covering All Access after this. Saraya and Britt Baker, that whole thing, I thought that was pretty cool. And how much Britt cared about wanting to make Saraya look good. That was really cool. Really gave a lot of respect for Britt Baker. I gained a lot of respect for Britt Baker seeing that. Ty Mello and Sammy Guevara, man. Oh my god. Alright. You people gotta understand. I don't give a fuck how it happened. I'm convinced Sammy Guevara made the best decision ever going with Ty Mello as his wife. Period. End of story. This woman is the best thing that ever happened in his life. Like, I can't even underestimate, like, how good these two are for each other and how much of a better person I think behind the scenes Sammy has become being with Ty. I mean that with every fiber of my being, man. Like, they were cool, man. Like, they were really cool. They were, like, the best part of this second episode, honest to God. Thunder Rosa, her side was explained pretty well, although if you watch the Busted Open interview, it's not by much. You know, you already knew what happened. But anyway, let's get to the main crux of the problem, which is why we're not going to be reviewing any more AEW All Access. The Young Bucks, and their whole journey of being, you know, suspended and vacating the trios titles. You know, that's when they started filming this shit or whatever. I'm starting to wonder if they had this as a punishment. I really am starting to wonder that. I have no idea here. But, yeah, it was just weird. It was weird. I don't know why they didn't mention Punk. I don't know if it's because of a storyline, but I think they really ought to mention why it happened. At the very least, mention him by name, because it would have gotten a lot of people talking. I don't know why they didn't have it named. I didn't know why they didn't talk about it. Maybe it was out of respect for Punk, but I think there was so much shit that happened there, and the fact that out of those 2 episodes that we have seen this week, the only fucking thing that we see of CM Punk is on a fucking production truck, which Sammy Guevara happens to be standing in front of, I think is fucking ridiculous. Not a single mention of CM Punk. Not one. They don't even mention the situation that happened, period, in the backstage after All Out. They don't even mention it. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. We're not going to be covering it at all. Like, I have no desire to be covering something that they refuse to fucking acknowledge. Now, there are rumors, apparently, and I will say they are rumors, I hope they're not fucking true, that the reason they did this, they had the Blackpool Combat Club in the spot that they have them in, is because CM Punk is willing to actually do business with the very guys he had a problem with in that all-out press scrum. He's willing to do business. Omega and the Elite aren't. That's a fucking problem. You're never going to get past it if you don't work on business first. I don't give a fuck what anybody wants to tell me. I understand, I understand where some people are coming from. There's a mental health aspect about it. If they're not ready, then I don't want them fucking doing it. I saw Cairo, friend of the channel, friend of FTW Productions. She said that on Twitter. Shout out to you, by the way. But, look, I can tell you this right now. Sometimes mental health has to take a back seat. It does. And in this case, I don't think anything's going to be resolved by running away from the fucking problem. If they don't confront this head on and do business the right way, first and foremost, this shit ain't ever gonna be fucking okay. They're just never gonna work their shit out. Therein lies the crux of the problem. So, that's just it. I have no desire to be covering it if they're not even going to mention the big thing that everybody was tuning in for. There's no reason for us to be covering this. And we already have enough content for AEW to fucking review as it is. And we got another show coming up that's apparently going to be 2 hours. That's going to happen on fucking Saturdays. So, if people are going to be pissed that we're not going to be covering, AEW All Access, cry me a fucking river. I'm sorry. I'm not covering that shit. We got enough content coming up as it is, so that's it. Especially, again, we would have if they covered the main crux of the fucking things, like they did with everything else, but Punk is the one they refuse to cover, so we won't cover it. Simple as that. As Noah Foster would say. With that said, final show. I can't believe we fucking did this. It's crazy. And we haven't even been booted off the air yet. Knock on wood. And we did it in under 2 hours 30. I'm actually shocked by myself here. All Elite Wrestling delivered an action-packed episode of AEW Rampage on March 31st. Juice Robinson goes to face Action Andretti in a singles match, as Rock Hard will aim to gain momentum on his in his match with Ricky Starks. Well, so much for that. We'll be covering that tomorrow. Plus, Taya Valkyrie will aim to keep her role going as she takes on Marina Shafir. Oh boy. That match still sucked, by the way. Elsewhere on the show, Sammy Guevara will face Konosuke Takeshita, and the Best Friends collide with the Kings of the Black Throne in tag team action. The results are as follows. Match 1, Sammy Guevara versus Konosuke Takeshita. In the opening match of the night, Guevara came out to the top with a big win, despite Takeshita looking primed to win early in the match. It was Guevara who would flip the momentum, and thanks to some late help, thanks to Ty Mello, he got the win. Late in the match, after Takeshita hit a huge German suplex, Ty Mello distracted him, grabbed Takeshita's feet as he went for another attack. This confusion led Guevara to get up, hit a huge knee strike on him, a rising knee strike, then hit the go to hell for the pinfall win. So that was a really good match. I really enjoyed this matchup. Definitely go out of your way to watch this match if you get a chance. Here we go with Carney Matt again. Boy, did it pay off for him here. Big money Matt with his big money thinking. Matt Hardy and Ethan Page. Hardy and Page were both interviewed backstage, where Hardy presented Page with a contract to sign for a match with Hook next week on Dynamite. Ethan signed the contract, saying he doesn't know anything that's on it because he trusted Matt to read over the contract. Oh boy, was that a mistake. Okay, so for those who don't know, the contract that Ethan Page signed, from what I guess, is that if Hook beats Ethan Page, Hardy and Isaiah would be free from the firm, along with Mark Quinn get well soon. That was the idea. I think that Hardy Party would be relieved of any ongoing contractual obligations to the firm. And Ethan Page had no idea about it and got swindled, if you will. He got swindled. So yeah, that was pretty much what happened there. So, that happened, and the way you could tell that that's exactly what happened was what happened, which we are going to be covering on Friday. But you could tell by Matt Hardy winking at the camera. Matt Hardy was up to no good, although good for him because he's out of that fucking shitty stable. So yeah, there you go. So, that was the end of that one. Then we have match 2. Kings of the Black Throne versus Best Friends. The match between two of the biggest teams in All Elite Wrestling. Two of the biggest teams in All Elite Wrestling. I mean, I guess. Fair enough. I mean, if you're talking one team from the pandemic that carried the pandemic, quite frankly. And yeah, Black Throne. Kings of the Black Throne, pretty cool. I'm so glad we got to hear the Power Rangers, Kings of the Black Throne. I love that. Love that shit. Really good shit. Love it. But yeah. So yeah, it ended without a winner. Late in the match, Brody King hit Chuck Taylor with a big powerbomb through the timekeeper's table outside of the ring. Elsewhere, Trent Beretta came running in for help, hit Brody with a chair from behind. Malachi, who was also on hand for the match, then attacked Beretta from behind, forcing the ref to seemingly end the match immediately with a DQ win for the Black Thrones. Or for the Black Throne Kings, whatever you want to call them. Kings of the Black Throne. After the match, the Kings continued their assault on Best Friends, but Orange Cassidy came down running for the save. However, Buddy Matthews quickly stopped them, and after they hit Dante's Inferno on Chuck Taylor, they stood somewhat victorious. After the fact, by the way, while Orange Cassidy tried to come in to help him, Buddy Matthews came out of nowhere, and Orange Cassidy tried the Orange Punch on him, but Buddy Matthews held the title right in front of him, which sets up perfectly for the international title match that they will be having. Finally, some international flavor for the international title. Finally, they fucking listened. Yay! I'm happy about it. So yeah, there you go. To think, too, Orange Cassidy going to fight Buddy Matthews and then went on to fight Gabriel Kidd. Pretty cool. But yeah, after the match, yeah, we already read that. So yeah, that's what happened with that one. Pretty decent match, pretty decent angle. Sets up for a decent trios match. Sets up for an even better All-Atlantic Championship match. Can't answer your gear. Sorry. I'll have to call you back. But yeah, I would answer that, but considering I'm the only one on the air, I have no choice. So I'll have to just call him back. But yeah, good match, good angle. Leads up to two really good matches. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland had a promo. Lee and Strickland both had promos aired where they called each other out. Hyping up next time they'll get in the ring, Swerve said he was determined to make sure he takes out Lee for good, with Lee simply saying that he was going to bury Strickland. Bad blood between Swerve Confident and Real Keith Lee is far from over, says All Elite Wrestling. And I agree. And it looks like it's going to continue to get crazier as time goes on. Match 3, Taya Valkyrie defeats Marina Shafir via pinfall. In a relatively quick match, Valkyrie made short work of Shafir despite the group of Mark Sterling, Jade Cargill, Layla Gray, and Tootie coming out to distract her. Shafir made Taya Valkyrie managed to take Valkyrie down at the start of the match, but Taya quickly rebounded, ending things abruptly with the Road to Valhalla. This match was not a good Marina Shafir match. It's the same problems I've always been having, so there you go. After the match, Sterling set down Tootie in the ring to serve Taya Valkyrie with a legal notice that would force her to stop using the Road to Valhalla. Taya took the paper and then proceeded to hit the Road to Valhalla on Tootie. Cargill then attempted to charge down the ring, but Mark and Layla quickly stopped her before she could, because, you're about to be in a legal battle, I'm just saying. Backstage, Anna Jay. Backstage segment, Anna Jay. In a backstage interview, Jay said that her street fight earlier this year against Willow Nightingale and Ruby Soho, she nearly died due to having dislocated ribs. Later on, she said after watching Julia Hart, she plans on choking her out and finding just how much the House of Black really enjoys the pain. She also said that she had a fat ass and a bad attitude, or whatever the fuck. I don't know. This promo sucked. Dude. Jungle Boy is a better promo than his own fucking girlfriend, who at one point was actually a really good promo, and then they turned her heel and had her joined up with the JAS because she was friends with Tay. She does not fucking fit. I'm sorry. This sucked. Don't have her talk. She cannot talk as a heel. She is more of a babyface talker. She is a babyface personality when it comes to the mic. She is really not finding her groove as a heel either time she's been one. But especially here where she's just that fucking obnoxious. I don't know. It's go away heat for me. Match 4, Juice Robinson defeats Action Andretti via pinfall. The main event of the night ended with a big match, and ended even bigger win for Robinson. Towards the end of the bout, Andretti looked primed to win after hitting multiple running elbow strikes on Robinson. However, after hitting a big moonsault on the outside of the ring, Robinson caught his second win at the end, and he walked away with a win after hitting Juice is Loose for the pin and win. Following the end of the match, Robinson began mocking Ricky Starks and went to continue attacking Andretti, but Starks actually ran out for the save, chasing away Robinson at the end of the night. And, oh boy, what's about to happen, we will be covering next week, because that shocked the fuck out of me, I will say. And that is all of your content caught up for the WrestleMania week that was AEW content. Holy shit, we finally got this fucking show out of the way. Tomorrow, I'll be with Noah Foster. We'll be back in the saddle, and then we'll be back to normal next week on Tuesday, covering everything that happened this week. So, tomorrow, we're going to be covering everything from last week. On Tuesday, we'll be covering everything that happened this week. So, that's pretty much what's going to come up for AEW Spark. Overall, I give Rampage a B show. Decent show. Not really an A effort this week, but considering it was WrestleMania week, I think, it was to be expected. Although with Ring of Honor, that really has no excuse because it really should have been an A show, but the booking just kind of fucking hindered it, I think, anyway. But still a B plus effort overall, or whatever I said earlier. I think I said B minus, whatever I called it. But a B show by Rampage overall, which, oddly enough, is the second best show of the week this week, I think. I think so. Yeah, I'd say so, because B plus was Dynamite. So yeah, second best show of the week, rarely enough. But yeah, that goes to that's the end of the week here for AEW Spark, or at least end of week 13. Thank God. We will be doing AEW Spark tomorrow. We'll be all caught up from there. If you haven't already checked out Fantasy Booking Series, part 2 of James and Owen in WWE in 2012 as a tag team. That's already up there right now. It's a fantasy booking series video done by Owen Finch. So check it out when you can. And with that being said, I think we'll call it here. So I would do the catchphrase, but I can't do it as eloquently as Noah Foster does. So I will just say, just enjoy life and enjoy wrestling and buy the shirt. And until next time, we will see you on AEW Spark, for we are AEW. We made it!
Podcast has concluded. Be sure to check out more group discussion as far as AEW content is concerned, and check out more content from For the Win Productions.